The G20 Health Working Group meeting is still underway here at Melrose Arch, Johannesburg, where various countries who fall under the G20 and health experts are basically mulling over ways to ensure that countries are more prepared should the next pandemic hit. Of course, we are hearing from experts just basically talking about the importance of ensuring that this time around countries, especially low middle income countries, do have access to vaccines. COVID-19, of course, it did teach a lot of countries a lesson. The experts here are saying that it caught most of them off guard. And this time around, when there's a pandemic potential pathogen, they do not want to be found wanting. But one of the topics also that was interesting from these closed meetings, but when we're speaking, of course, to some of the experts, was the 100-day mission. So this mission basically is to ensure that as soon as a potential pandemic presents itself, countries are able to at least curb it just within the first 100 days. Because one thing that the experts are talking about is that the longer a pandemic takes, then it destroys a lot. And obviously, it claims a lot of lives, and it would be important to curb it on time. So we are expecting that these meetings will happen until Friday at least. But one thing that has to be a takeaway from these meetings is how to make sure that at least healthcare is accessible to all countries, especially the needy ones, and to, of course, ensure equity in healthcare. But also finances have also played a role in some sort to see how countries can come together to help fund all these plans that will ensure that when another pandemic hits, no country is found without a proper plan in terms of the way forward. If you remember, when it was time for COVID, countries had to scramble to try and get funds elsewhere, and they were also struggling also to even acquire some of the PPE that was needed. So countries here are saying at least domestic finances should also be brought together, and also there is a need for partnership within the private and the public sector, and this is a way, according to the people here, this is the only way that a pandemic that could hit potentially could be curbed before it obviously destroys a lot of lives and also destroes the economies that are already struggling. The G20 members have agreed to most of the points that were raised, and among them it's the 100-day mission. And of course, some of the discussions are still underway, but you must remember that these discussions also happen after that pandemic agreement, where it will be looking at various issues, but also among those issues will be the vaccine issue, where is it possible perhaps to ensure that vaccines can be found within countries, so that not only the rich countries get to make the vaccines and then it delays when it has to come to the low and middle income countries. So these are some of the discussions that are happening. They will be taking place until the end of the week, and solutions, of course, going forward will be heard on Friday.